Can I sorry, can I get a tissue? Do you mind?
Yeah,
Real quick?
sure.
Thank you.
Tissues. Oh, we vote for tissues. We're all in favor.
No, yeah.
It's all good. All right. So here we go. All right. So the title of this year we said is Pesach Sheni just got real, and I called it that because when I first learned about this idea of Pesach Sheni like a long time ago, at first like when the rabbi had said, oh, like you get a second chance, I was like, really? Like I don't know, but apparently it's in the Torah. It's like a real thing. So before we get into any lumdus, let's just get a feel for the groundwork here. So in Parshas Ba'aloscha, we find Vayihi anashim asher hayu timeim lenefesh adam. Right, so they were involved with a very holy task. They had to take care of a dead body, and because they were tamei, they wouldn't be able to bring the karban pesach with everybody else. V'lo yachlu la'asot hapesach bayom hahu. Vayikrevu lifnei Moshe v'lifnei Aharon bayom hahu. So they gathered toward Moshe and Aharon on that day. Vayomeru ha'anashim ha'ema elav. And those folks said, Anachnu tmeim lenefesh adam. So let's bring you up to speed. We are tamei because we were involved with the dead body. Lama nigara levilti hakrivet korban Adonai b'moado b'toch b'nei Yisrael. And so that's not fair. Why should we miss out on the chance to bring the karban pesach with everybody else? Not cool. Vayomer alehem Moshe. And so Moshe answers them, Imdu be'eshma'a ma yitzaveh Hashem lechem. So guess what? That's a good question, says Moshe. I'm going to ask God what he says. So let's see. Hashem says, Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe lemor. Here's the answer. Daber b'nei Yisrael lemor. Say to the Jewish people, Ish, anyone, ki hiet tamei lanefesh. If you are tamei lanefesh, if you are tamei because you were dealing with a dead body, o b'derech rechoka, or if you're like on some far off distant road and you're not going to make it to Yerushalayim to bring the karban pesach, ola dorotechem v'asa pesach la'Adonai. Right, so you can't bring the karban pesach. Guess what? B'chodesh hasheni ba'arba asar yom bein harabayim ya'asu oto al matzot u'merorim yochluhu. End of pasuk, and then Hashem gives more details about what the second chance looks like. But basically, a month later, the next month, on the 14th, same night, that's when you'll bring your karban pesach, right? Matzot u'merorim yochluhu. So basically, Hashem says, you're right. That's a good question. Here's the answer. You get a makeup date. You get a rain check. Okay. So that's a good answer. And so Pesach Sheni sort of like embodies the notion that, if you're not able to do something, Hashem wants to make it possible for you. And I was just thinking, like, this would probably be a year of a lot of Pesach Sheni candidates. Like a lot of us are at home and it's difficult to do different things, let alone travel to the Beit HaMikdash with our Korban, etc. I feel like probably more so than other years, this parsha of Pesach Sheni feels a little bit more real to us. So I just wanted to share a few different ideas that might be relevant based on this notion. So one is the idea that our friend Asher had said he was busy doing something. Well, guess what? That's one of the things that we find as a theme in Pesach Sheni. The Gemara in Sukkah tells us that the idea comes up, like we need Pesach Sheni as a proof for the concept of osek b'mitzvah patur min hamitzvah. So here we go. That the Gemara asks, the osek b'mitzvah patur min hamitzvah. So do we know this? So mehacha nafka from do we know that from here from Kriyat Shema? But mehasam nafka, we could also learn it from here, Titania, because we learn in a brisa, vayihi anashim asher hayu timeim lanefesh adam. Right, that should sound familiar. We're talking about the karban pesach and these guys who approached Moshe and Aaron with this question, like, what do we do? And basically it boils down to, I could bury this dead person, right? I really should. It's the right thing to do. Maybe there's somebody who's one of my, 7 krovim, like I have some sort of familial obligation here, but I know, if I do this, I won't be able to do the Karban Pesach because I'll be tameh, and that'll be bad. And Rashi even throws in, like, he ups the ante. You know what? If you don't do Karban Pesach, you're risking kares. That's like a big deal. So what do we do? And guess what? The Gemara says, no, they were right to bury that person, right? We don't say you're involved in Karban Pesach, so you can't bury this person. No, it's the other way. Because I'm going to bury this person, because this is the mitzvah I'm involved in, I don't have to be concerned, right? The idea of Karban Pesach becomes secondary because I have this dead person in front of me. So that I think point number one is when we think about this second chance, just remember a lot of this, there are a lot of good things that are going on. We're involved in mitzvot. The people that complained to Moshe and Aaron were genuinely bothered. Like, I don't want to miss out on doing a mitzvah, but I have this other mitzvah. I got to do it. So what's the deal? How do I reconcile both of these things? So that's point number one, that we're involved in mitzvah. We're involved in good things. And then the Gemara continues and it asks, well, who are these people? Like, they just like, what? Anashim. Like, that could mean anybody. So who are we talking about? So the Gemara continues, so who are these folks? Otam Anashim Mihayu. So
Kitty, Mrs. Fassman's giving a shear.
So these are these folks who were involved in bringing the Karban. Says the Gemara, they were the Nosei Arono Shel Yosef. Divrei Rabbi Yossi Aglili. So according to Rabbi Yossi Aglili, this group of people were the guys involved in transporting the bones of Yosef. Remember when everyone was getting ready to leave Mitzrayim, Moshe goes
Mr. Strassman.
Moshe's bones, and somebody had to be carrying them. So presumably they would be tameh. They may have come in contact with a dead body. So now they're coming to Moshe and saying, well, here we are. We can't do this now because we were doing a mitzvah and carrying Yosef's bones. Another opinion, Rabbi Akiva Omer, Mishael ve'el tzafan hayu, shahayu oskin ben Nadav ve'avihu. Right, a famous part of the Torah is when Nadav and Avihu decide to call an audible. They pull some shtick and they get smote for that. Different shear for a different time. But they were dead, and we can't keep going on with the temple service, the Mishkan service, if we got dead folks in there. Someone's got to move them, and Moshe tells Mishael and El Tzafan to move them. Right? So maybe these were the guys that said, okay, Moshe, we followed your directions, and we moved Nadav and Avihu, but guess what? Now we're tameh. So what are we supposed to do? And there's a third opinion that is Rabbi Yitzchak Omer, and there has to be a rationalist in every party. Yeah. He says, so he says, wait a second, like the guys who were carrying Yosef's coffin, it couldn't be them because they would have had plenty of time to be mitaher, to be purified, right? At this point in Bahaloscha, the Jews are camped already. They're only carrying his bones when they're traveling, so they probably could have. They may have had time to get purified. And im Yishael ve'el tzafan hayu yocholin hayu l'taher. And the same thing with says Rabbi Yitzchak. The same thing with Mishael ve'el tzafan. Right? We know that Nadav and Avihu die on the first day of Nisan, but guess what? Pesach is going to be 13 days later. They will also have time to become purified and do all the right things. So says Rabbi Yitzchak, it couldn't be them. You want to know who it is? A mace mitzvah. Says Rabbi Yitzchak that it was just, you're going for a stroll out in, some uninhabited stretch of land, right? Like, let's say your car gets, stuck in the meadowlands and you're walking through those like swampy areas with those wavy wheat looking plants, right? And then look at that. You find a dead body and somehow it's Jewish and there's nobody around. Oh my goodness, that's a mace mitzvah. Or it could be one of the Sheva Krovim, like you have sort of like a mitzvah obligation. You have to bury this person. It doesn't have to be, somebody who was already involved in something, but maybe it just happened like right away. And now I know, even if I go through the right channels, I won't be tahor in time. So we have three opinions about who these people could be that needed a Pesach Sheni. But I just want to highlight for a second, I'm glad that Rabbi Yitzchak objected to the idea that it could be the Nosei Arono Shel Yosef, it could be the people carrying Yosef, or it could be Mishael ve'el tzafan, because I feel like his objection puts it into a perspective, because for us, like many of us are physically capable of getting to Yerushalayim, if we really, really wanted to, we could probably even arrange to find a carbon. We're just assuming that that was like actually rabbinically allowed and that there weren't so many politics about it. But like a lot of us are just kind of staying home because like that's what we need to do. And Rabbi Yitzchak is saying like, no, those guys could have become tahor. They're just not. That's why they don't fit there. But the fact that it is recorded in the Gemara, despite Rabbi Yitzchak's objections, I think gives a little nod to our situation, where we're also people who probably could have figured this out if we needed to, but we're in a situation where that just isn't happening. That's not like what people are doing. So it was just an interesting idea to see kind of like the Gemara give a little bit of a nod to folks that are in our situation who could have but didn't, according to Rabbi Yitzchak. So that was cool. And then another idea that stuck out to me was if you look at the pasuk where this group of people approach Moshe and Aharon, it says Vayikrevu livnei Moshe v'lifnei Aharon vayom hahu. So they approach Moshe and also Aharon as if they made two approaches. And the midrash in the Sifrei picks up on this like seemingly double approach, like what's going on there. So Rabbi Yoshia is of the opinion that you have to switch the wording of the verse because otherwise it won't make sense. Like, could it be that they went to Moshe first and then Aharon? No, because if Moshe didn't know and even says, I got to ask God, why would you then ask Aharon? Like, that's no offense to Aharon, but like if the head honcho doesn't know, like what are you going to ask his secretary for? Kiviyachol. So he says you got to flip it. First they went to Aharon, then they went to Moshe when Aharon didn't know, and then when Moshe didn't know, he told them to ask Hashem. Okay, that is the opinion of Rabbi Yoshia. But there's another opinion, that of Abba Hanan, and of course any guy who's named something like Abba Hanan probably is a smart guy. I have to say, he sounds like a smart guy to me. But anyway, Abba Hanan has this interesting idea. He says, no, like, they approached them both at the same time when they were in the Beit Midrash, right? Moshe and Aaron were sitting together, and that's when these folks came over to them. And I feel like that gives like an interesting backdrop to this whole situation, where you have a group of people that are feeling very uncertain. Like, this is a situation beyond their control. We're Tameh, and we have to do this thing with everyone, and now we can't, and we're feeling like we're missing out. But they didn't know when they approached them with their question. They didn't know that Hashem would like invent a way for this to happen. So they really, really felt like they were stuck, and they didn't know what to do. And that's how they're approaching Moshe and Aaron. Now, when you feel that way, there are many different ways you could respond. You could go to this person and that person and that person and hunt around for different, like, I'm going to check WebMD, and then I'm going to call my doctor, and then I'm going to look online. You could go bounce all over the place, right? The Sa'or Shaba'isa, right, Asher, right? That's like when you start freaking out, things go, no. And you could do that. That's one approach. On the other hand, we have a different approach, which is to kind of create a space for that uncertainty. And we have the opinion of Abba Hanan that says, well, maybe they went to the right people in the right place at the right time, right? They're in the Beit Midrash, where there's, lots of learning going on, and they approach them properly without like, causing a ruckus and, stirring the pot too much. Oh, this one and that one. No, they did the right thing. And look at that. Now we have a Pesach Sheni, right? The outcome when you approach something from a positive, constructive, calm kind of way can be very good. So that also, I think, stuck out to me as a good idea for us to keep in mind. There's a lot of confusion going on. There's a lot of uncertainty. Nobody knows when our situation will change. But guess what? Like, neither did these folks know when, if at all, they would be allowed to bring the Karban Pesach. And they chose to approach it the right way if we're following Abba Hanan, right? Abba Hanan. So the notion being create a space for that feeling. Shameless plug, if anybody is feeling uncertain or, like you just want to talk, I'm happy to set up a Zoom. Any of the other guidance folks will. But moving on. So on the notion of creating space in the idea of Pesach Sheni, I think that I know that the Rav Soloveitchik's yard site is coming up, so it would be appropriate to mention a very famous idea that the Rav has. The pasuk said that if you were tamei lanefesh, or if you were on a distant road, a derech rechoka, those are the ideas about when you would qualify for bringing this Pesach Sheni. You get the do-over. So the Mishnah wants to know, Ezohi derech rechoka. How far away is far? How rachok do you have to be? So there's one opinion, min hamodiim v'lachutz. And that is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. If you are from Modi'in and further, like if you're like a couple miles from Yerushalayim, I know that the Gemara actually goes into some depth onto what that means, but that is Rabbi Akiva's opinion. Like you got to be a couple miles away. And Rabbi Eliezer says, Mi iskupat azara v'lachutz. From the threshold of the temple courtyard. Basically, if you're just knocking on the door and you're not actually inside, maybe you're too far away. And so everybody wants to know, like, what does that mean? You could just go there, like just do it, like knock, ring the doorbell, ding dong. I don't know, like what does that mean? You're so far away. And the Rav actually says that if you're measuring distance, rechoka, in like feet or miles, like an actual quantifiable distance, like a physical space, then you're right. This opinion is a little confusing. But what if that's not how we're measuring distance? What if derech rechoka could mean that you're just mentally or emotionally, you're just not ready to do this, right? You have a lot of things going on. You're in some kind of situation at home or with your business or whatever it is, and you can't bring yourself to get in gear and to get yourself to Yerushalayim. It just ain't happening for you. Guess what? Says the Rav, you could be considered derech rechoka. And that just stuck out to me like, wow, maybe that's us this year. Maybe we could say that you're right. I could physically get myself to Yerushalayim if I really wanted to. And I could even figure out how to, use money or find an actual lamb or something. If I really, really wanted to, I could do that. But I can't because, this is what it is, So derech rechoka might have some broader implications, and says the Rav that Hashem creates that space in the framework of halacha and Torah observance. Like, okay, I get it. Like, you're a human being. There is a human condition, and you might not be able to get there every time. And it's not about like, oh, I'm out to get you. I want to see who can't do it. Like, no, like there's a failsafe. There's a fallback. Like this idea of Pesach Sheni is a good thing. And we should just consider like Pesach Sheni isn't like the consolation prize. It's a real thing. For a person who needs to do Pesach Sheni, that's your Pesach. That's how you do this. It isn't like, the sloppy seconds where like, oh, I wish I could have done this. Like, no, if you were really, truly, honestly not able because you were tamei or because you were derech rechoka, this is how you do the mitzvah. This is it. It's sort of like I always think about Jim Abbott. He's a famous, I think he's in the Hall of Fame. He was a pitcher. He played baseball and he only has one hand. And everyone's like, wow, like he has this really cool, funky windup. But if you ask Jim Abbott, like, hey, how'd you learn to pitch like that? He would probably say, like, what are you talking about? This is how I do it. Like, this isn't the way that I pitch. Like, this is how I got to do it. I love baseball. I want to play. I have one hand. Okay, this is how I make this work. Same thing with Pesach Sheni. It doesn't have to be like, the sad little sibling that, oh, you're not good enough, but here, guess what? You can still, no, this is a good thing. Remember, we are involved in mitzvos, right? We're reacting positively to a situation beyond our control. Pesach Sheni is a good, positive thing. We should be approaching this with optimism. And just to wrap it up, I don't know if you ever noticed this, but in the Pesach Seder, in Korech, we say matzot amatzot umorim yochluhu, right? That's the pasuk that Hillel gets attributed in his little Hillel sandwich part. And you might wonder, why are we quoting Pesach Sheni, right? That's what God said, like, oh, here's just in case you miss the Karban Pesach. And we're saying this as we're eating the Karban Pesach. Like, why? Like, why couldn't you just take a pasuk from Bo, let's say? It talks about eating matzahs and maror there too. So the Ger Rebbe has an interesting idea, and he says the following: that we know that we're sitting at our seder, but we also know that there's no Beit Hamikdash. And you know something? Mashiach could come right now, right this second, and then we'd have a question: should we bring a Pesach Sheni? Right? We're sitting at our seder, but we also remember that what if Mashiach comes right this second? That could be a reality. And then what do? So he says, no, we remind ourselves while we're sitting at our seder, there's still that notion of Pesach Sheni, that maybe this could be the year. Halavai, this should be our shaila. Are we allowed to bring a Pesach Sheni or not? I am that's totally way above my pay grade to really answer that. But this is the Ger Rebbe's idea, that we should be thinking along those lines. We should be optimistic and think, we have to remember the positive, that it's still possible that this could be real, and that we may have to be considered a candidate for Pesach Sheni, even while we're sitting at our Pesach Seder. And so those are some ideas that I would want to share, and how this year kind of echoed the idea of Pesach Sheni a little louder, just to keep in mind that we're doing mitzvos, we're doing good things. We're staying home because we don't want to get other people sick. We want to make sure that we are healthy. Those are good, positive things. And guess what? Part of the idea is to create a space for uncertainty, to really respond in a calm, in a positive, good frame of mind kind of a way. And that's what we're going to do. So that's our shir for today. You can feel free to join us tomorrow as well. But those are just some thoughts I had about the idea of Pesach Sheni.